First of all, I'd like to say welcome to the Ohio Family Engagement Leadership Summit. We are so glad that you could join us on this day of professional learning meant to take family, school, community partnership to the next level. My name is Becky Barenbaum, and I will be this session's moderator. This session is Session 7, Finding Your Voice, a Journey of Student Self-Discovery. If you have any questions, concerns, or technical issues, please message me privately in the chat. To ensure that all get the most out of today, we ask that all participants turn off their webcams and microphones. If you have questions for the presenter, please use the chat feature, and I will pass them along at an appropriate time. You can also join the conversation on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag OHSummit23 to share your thoughts. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker for this session. Michael is attending his first year of college at Bowling Green State University, Firelands Campus in Ohio, after being engaged in several alternative learning environments since the 4th grade. Michael faced a number of barriers from his school due to his chronic and invisible conditions. His journey has been a difficult one, but he has overcome the challenges he faced with the strong support of his family, friends, and a few amazing educators who took the time to invest in him. Michael has shared his journey and experiences with the help of the Ohio Coalition and has collaborated with the OCECD on the Youth Empowerment Project. Michael presented at OCALI in 2022, is the proud recipient of the R.A. Horn Award in May 2023, and is now looking forward to starting a journey as a new member of the Youth Advocates for Change. After a lot of hard work with the help of others, Michael rediscovered the voice that was taken from him and implores others to find and use theirs. Michael has been influenced by hearing the stories of others and realizing that sharing his journey has provided him an opportunity to grow emotionally and mentally while bringing hope to others in similar situations. He hopes that you will be influenced and inspired by hearing him. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael. I'm so excited to be here today, and I'm honored. I'm looking forward to sharing my journey, and hope I can inspire you to share mine with others. Please bear with me today. This is my first live presentation, and I have a little bit of a migraine, so there's a little brain fog, but I'm very excited, and let's go. A couple things you should know about me. Spending time with my family and friends is extremely important to me. I love my dog. Her name's Penny. You'll see pictures of her later. Humor and sarcasm help get me through my day. I like to say I'm punny because I take funny to the next level. Quick wit is my game, per se. I enjoy volunteering in my community. It has helped me tremendously. I like to watch movies and play games with family and friends. I am a 2023 graduate from Perkins High School, and I now attend Firelands Community College, a branch of Bowling Green State University. Brief history is cyclical vomiting syndrome, or CVS, chronic migraines, IBS, and I have overcome PTSD, PNES, and PNES is now known as FND. CVS is a disorder with sudden repeated attacks or episodes of severe nausea, vomiting, and or physical exhaustion that can appear with no apparent cause. CVS is a neurological condition that presents with GI symptoms. The episodes can last from up to a few hours to several days. Episodes can be so severe that a person has to stay in bed for days, unable to go to school or work. To people who have this disorder, as well as family members, CVS can be a disruptive and frightening experience. I want you to imagine a boy who doesn't know how to cope, has trouble managing through his day. That was me. I would often be near a trash can just waiting to puke or gag because I would feel so nauseous. It was very hard to learn, very hard to concentrate, And as time progressed, I developed coping mechanisms and ways to manage through my day. Sometimes when fighting a migraine, I been known to go into what I call my cave. It's my dark room due to light sensitivity and sound. Just kind of go in there and just lay down. I developed PTSD and PNES. Again, PNES is now known as FND. It is associated with underlying psychological stressors, and there is often a history of psychological trauma. That was the case for me. PNES is classified as a conversion disorder or functional neurological disorder, and it often takes 7 to 12 years to attain a diagnosis. I was fortunate enough to attain a diagnosis in a couple of months. Sorry, my mouth was dry. Excuse me. When I was 9 years old, I had a teacher who was abusive of my medical needs. My accommodations were taken away from me and my voice was disregarded. In order to sustain through the day, I would often need access to a snack or drink due to my medical condition. However, this teacher wouldn't allow me access to my food and would instead eat them or sometimes even spit on my food. Restroom privileges were also withheld when I needed them most. This was clearly stated in my IEP. It was also important for me to go to the nurse's office so I could get my anti-nausea and migraine medications when I needed them. Waiting to take these medications was not advantageous because I needed them to help me concentrate. Again, all of this was clearly defined in my IEP, but she just plain and simply didn't believe or accept my needs as valid. Not for a lack of trying on my mom's part, though. In this point of my life, I wasn't nearly as in tune with my body as I am now. On top of all this, the nurse refused to believe me. The nurse would ask me over and over what I needed and why. By law, she is required to ask, but she would do so repeatedly and would end up having to call my mom just for my mom to tell her, give me the medication immediately. These weren't isolated incidents either. They happen all the time on a daily and consistent basis. This left me feeling broken and unable to cope. Eventually, I was removed from the classroom, but overcoming the triggers and severe anxieties that occurred as a result of this took many years. I became behind on so much schoolwork I had to work all summer in order to catch up to my peers. I felt embarrassed, insecure, and uncertain for the future. To this day, there are still triggers. One phrase you've probably all heard is good grief. I think we've all heard that, right? Another includes the Cleveland Browns. They were her favorite team, and she talked about them a lot. Mostly about them losing, though. Speaking of which, there might be some of you who have been traumatized by the Browns for other reasons. These physical responses still happen to this day, but they used to be so much worse. I no longer collapse or have full-blown panic attacks like I once did. From this experience, I also developed a habit of over-apologizing. I will often apologize over the smallest of things. It's just ingrained in me. I will often say I'm sorry and realize I did so only after the fact. Although it's gotten better, I still apologize often. The one thing she didn't take away from me, though, was my humor. It's helped me all this time and still does. I think that's probably my biggest coping mechanism. But unfortunately, as I've learned, the voice of a 9 and 10-year-old boy is very different compared to the voice of a teenager and adult. I developed PTSD and PNES, now known as FND, as a result of my needs constantly being undermined and unmet, and I was unable to cope and manage as a result of this. This teacher was verbally and physically abrasive to me over my basic needs, even though these were well documented by my medical providers. Moving past this point of my life was a huge struggle, to say the least. It is difficult when you know your own basic needs and how they need to be met, yet no one seems to listen or allow what you need to be successful. I would often ask myself, why me? My mom always says to paint the picture. I hope this helps to paint a clear picture for you. There's a quote that I like, and I'm not sure where I first heard it, but it goes like this. I'm blanking. Your past does not define you, but it does make you who you are. But with the support of my family and friends and my many medical providers, I have not only overcome my PTSD and PNES, as well as my many setbacks, but have found my voice once again. This has not been an easy road for me, however. And right now I would just like to pause and take a minute to look at the pictures. On my left is my teacher, Miss Jo. I owe her so much. She has been such a blessing. And over on my right are two of my therapists. So, thank you. Anyways, back to regaining my voice. If it wasn't for my mom and her unwillingness to give up or settle for less than what she believed I was entitled to, I would not be where I am today, here with you. Her strong desire to see me overcome my unfortunate experiences and be happy, healthy, thriving, and feel successful and good about myself became her biggest goal. No hurdle was left unturned. And guess what? She's succeeded. She's my biggest supporter and has been lovingly given the nickname Pitbull. I have learned so much from watching her fiercely advocate for my needs to be met in a safe and supportive environment. Although sometimes I feel it's hard and it's very difficult, and I don't always feel like I succeed, but I never give up. Never give up. So, at the start of my freshman year of high school, I joined the Gentlemen's Club. And no, not that Gentlemen's Club. Some of you might be thinking. Sandusky City Schools Gentlemen's Club is a club where we volunteer in our community. I just call it GC for what I hope are obvious reasons. Remember when I said volunteering in my community was extremely important to me in the intro? GC is why. Thanks to my involvement with GC, I gained the confidence and was able to socialize with people my age, both of which I was lacking. GC had previously turned down requests from students who attended other schools, but once again, my mom advocated for me when I still couldn't. After meeting with the advisor, I was the first outsider to become part of GC. I'm so proud and glad I've been able to be a part of this amazing organization, even though I was very apprehensive and anxious about it at first. My medical accommodations were always met in this new, safe, and supportive environment. I also made new friends who I continue to work with, even currently as a graduate. GC has opened my world with so many new possibilities. It's given me a place in my community and a newfound purpose that I love. My home school district has more often than not failed me on numerous occasions. They have provided a certified teacher to come to the house until my senior year. In many ways, my home was my school. This too had its challenges. My teacher experienced a totally different side of the school that she worked for decades. Again, I owe her just so much. I wouldn't be where I am without her. My mom found many alternative methods to supplement what I was lacking or missing in my educational and life experiences. One of them was GC, but I also had several internships with local businesses during my senior year. One was with a cable company, another one was with a photographer, another one was with Oh yeah, there's no an audio visual company, and I also worked with the coalition. So, but I also shadowed at my community college for a year prior to attending this fall. When I was in sixth grade, the school started providing 2 mental health providers that came to the house twice a week. This was a game changer. Without them, I don't know if I would have been able to advocate as well as I've become. They taught me so much. It was in the school environment that was triggering for me, which really took it to the next level, I think. My mom advocated so hard about fighting for the right fit because of years of therapy, both private and school-based. I have learned how to self-advocate. At the end of my senior year, I've advocated for compensatory hours of therapy that I was owed. My high school principal started teaching me math my sophomore year. He was a math teacher before becoming principal and has become a mentor and a friend. That's him on the left. Thank you, Jeff. You've been an amazing part of my life. I've learned so much, and I owe you a lot too. At the start of my senior year, I began working independently, and soon my teacher was no longer came to my house. I also had a new English teacher this school year. I would go into the high school and work with her for a block of time. I learned so much in such a short amount of time, and that's her in the middle. And then on the right is the middle school principal. Speaking of all these mentors, the majority of my childhood since the trauma has been influenced not by peer-to-peer relationships, but by mentors. There have been amazing people all throughout my life, but the one thing I was robbed was getting to know my peers inside the buildings. On the left is my grandparents, and then on the right is my sister, my dad, and my mom. Self-advocacy is extremely important. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. Everyone also needs a good support system. There were times where I wanted to quit, but my friends and family wouldn't let me. I've learned not only to advocate for myself, but others around me. I understand that kids make things up. Kids will be kids after all, but not me. As a kid, I always had a good moral compass and was a man of my word, something I still pride myself on. I implore you to listen. We as adults need to listen to hear the messages others share and are being expressed. Sometimes they just don't know how to best relay the message. That was the case for me. As a kid, I didn't have the skills and resources I do now. No matter your age, self-advocacy is important. It's all about communication, honesty, and perseverance. There are a few words that come to mind to describe me. Grit and positive. Because a positive mindset is key to success. Always have the integrity to be a man or woman of your word. And in a world where you can do anything you want, please simply remember to start with kindness and empathy. I will now once again share some resources to further explain some of my medical conditions. I would also like to answer any questions that you might have. Feel free to ask me anything. I'm an open book. It's the only way I've been able to succeed. So.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll direct them to Michael.
What?
Amy asked, can you talk a little bit about your college experience so far? That's a great question.
So yeah, it's been really great. I'm in the Clark's Inclusive Scholarship Program. So college, as some of you will probably know, does not have an IEP or 504s. So people who had an IEP or 504s or disabilities can join this program, and it's a huge transition for me. And this has been a safe and supportive one, and it's been a new learning experience. I took one elective to start off in the fall, just kind of take things slow. I have a campus job. It's really great. I love it.
Awesome, thank you. Another question from Sharona. Did the staff that impacted you the most approach you, or did you seek them out?
So I think it was actually my mom who seeked them out. She had to find the resources, and she had to find the solutions to the problems and give the school answers. Because that's how it was. I don't always think that the system is as it should be. But I'm here now, and I've found my voice, and it's come full circle. And without the trauma, I might not be doing what I'm doing today. So helping others is just such a huge part of my life. GC, as I said, helped me gain confidence. I think that like I made friends. It's funny, like, one day you might be going to the park to pick up trash, but another day you'll be at the concession stand for the football game, or passing out candy at Cedar Point during Halloween. It's just fun because there's some events, like a food drive where you're helping, but then there's others where you see, like Halloween at Cedar Point, where you just see these kids smile when you give them candy. It's great.
Awesome. I have a question. I'd like to
Shoot.
hear about, do you have any advice for children who are experiencing barriers to education? What would you tell them?
Well, I think that everyone needs a support system. You need to be able to rely on a friend or family. Just be honest, be open. Communication is key. Yeah.
Great. Another question from Amy. What was your involvement with your transition IEP?
So this is a little difficult one because for me, it was very stressful. Although I think for all of us it was, but I think that the school was very abrasive and not always willing to, not always forthcoming, is what I would say. But it's I would be a part of meetings, and I would share my thoughts. But again, my mom was my biggest advocate. All my educators would be there. We call it Team Michael.
I think, Michael, your transition pieces were very unconventional as well, because they were directly associated back to the trauma itself. Mm-hmm. So, moving on to that next level was the next probably scariest moment for you, that related back to the teacher that kind of put us on the path that we're on. Mm-hmm. So taking things extremely slowly, doing things very outside the box.
Baby steps.
Very small baby steps. So baby steps for most people and baby steps for us, I think, were often very different. And it took a lot of educating the educators and saying, hey, slow down a minute. We need to make sure that he's ready to manage this. We don't want to go backward. We want to keep moving forward. And I think that was a real challenge.
And I think a lot of times, the medical side and the school side were not always on the same team. Well, not team, but same. What's the word? Same page.
They spoke very different languages.
Correct, and we would actually have my medical providers on the phone or by Zoom during these meetings. And for I'm sorry, I didn't introduce my mom, Janet, that just spoke.
Great. Any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat. If not, we can wrap up here.
I would actually like to
ahead.
say something.
Sure.
Real quick. And that's that the teacher that set me on this path, I recently saw her, and I went up to her and I told her, thank you for helping me become the man I am today. And it just took all this power away from her, and it's really been one of my next steps into this real world, of adulthood.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, yeah, let me just say again, thank you, Michael Ewer, for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. Please join me in thanking Michael in the chat. There will now be about an hour break. If this is your final session for the day, please be sure to take our survey by following the link. It's in the chat, go.oscu.edu/summit survey. We ask that you only take the survey once, so please do not take the survey until after the final session you attend for the day. Surveys will be used to administer contact hours, so it is critical that you take the survey if seeking credit. The next session will begin at 12 noon. Remember to keep the conversation going on Twitter using the hashtag OHSummit23 and visit ohiofamiliesengaged.osu.edu/summit for all information about today's events.
And if you have any more additional questions, please feel free to reach me at teammichaeljourney@gmail.com. That is teammichaeljourney.com. And I always say, together, everyone achieves more. Team. And get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your summit day. Bye-bye.